Most people say you should switch your LLC to an S-Corp, but for 87% of businesses, this makes absolutely no sense and can actually lead to you wasting thousands of dollars a year and in some cases much more. By the end of this video, you'll know my 3-step formula that I perfected over 14 years as a business lawyer to know when and if you should have your LLC taxed as an S-Corp. Because screwing this up could cost you. But first, we need to know the difference between an LLC and an S-Corp and what the actual benefits of an S-Corp are. Most small business owners decide to form a legal entity, which is really just a fancy term for a person or organization having separate rights by the law. The two most recommended entities are the limited liability company, or LLC, and corporation. This video isn't about whether an LLC or a corporation is best for your business. I actually cover that in other videos. Let's assume that you landed on an LLC. The next step after choosing the legal entity, in this case LLC, is to choose how the entity will be taxed. There are only 4 ways. LLCs can be taxed as disregarded, which is the default for single owner LLCs and just means taxed like you're an individual. LLCs can be taxed as a partnership, which is the default for more than one owner. LLCs can be taxed as an S-Corp, or LLCs can be taxed as a C corporation. Don't confuse tax classification with the type of entity you formed. An LLC is always an LLC and a corporation is always a corporation. The S-Corp, which gets its name from the subchapter S of the Internal Revenue Code, is a choice on how the legal entity wants to be taxed and comes with massive benefits in some cases, which I cover later in this video. But first, my goal with this channel is to help online businesses like you with legal strategies to help grow your business and avoid costly lawsuits. And I upload multiple videos every week about these strategies. So please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on these strategies. There's one major benefit of having your LLC taxed as an S-Corp. You can save thousands of dollars a year on taxes, but only if your LLC qualifies using my 3-step formula, which I'll cover soon. To illustrate the tax savings, let's take an example. Joanna has an LLC company selling on Shopify. The LLC has not elected to be taxed as an S corporation. So by default, LLC is disregarded for tax purposes. Her business makes $100,000 in revenue in a year and the business's expenses are $25,000. This leaves a profit of $75,000, which Joanna will not only have to pay income taxes on, but also self-employment taxes in the amount of 15.3%, which equals $11,475. Now, what if the LLC elects to be taxed as an S-Corp on the other hand? Joanna pays herself a reasonable salary of say $50,000 a year, and the business expenses are $25,000. Now, Joanna only needs to pay 15.3% on her salary, which equals $7,650. That's a $3,800 savings. When your LLC is taxed as an S-Corp, you're paid in 2 different ways. First, you receive a regular salary for the work you do for your business. The salary has to be reasonable, which really just means similar to others doing similar work in the industry. Second, you get a distribution for profits your company generates, similar to shareholders getting dividends in a corporation. Only wages paid as salary is subject to the payroll tax. All other profits are considered distributions and they're not subject to payroll tax. Well, this sounds amazing, but what's the kicker, right? Why wouldn't you elect S-Corp status? Well, it all depends on 3 factors. First, stage of your business. Did you just start or have you been in business for a while? If you are just starting out, I recommend waiting until the right time to elect S-Corp status. Filing for S-Corp status can be done at any time after the LLC has been created, with different deadlines depending upon the tax year. But choosing the wrong time will have major financial and other consequences, which I explain shortly. Second, ownership and future goals. How do you own the LLC? Is it in your individual name? Or does another LLC or corporation own the interest? Do you plan to bring on future partners or investors? The reason this is important is because S-Corps have very strict requirements, including only being able to have 1 class of membership, only having individuals in certain trusts own the membership interest, and not having more than 100 members in the LLC. If these restrictions go against your future goals and ownership structure, the S-Corp election may not be right for you. In particular, most investors don't like being restricted by S-Corps. And if you have other legal entities for estate planning, for example, S-Corp status may not be right for your LLC. Also, do you have other wages outside of the LLC? There's a maximum amount of wages subject to portions of the payroll tax. So if your other wages already max this out, there may not be any tax savings for an S-Corp. Third, money. Let's take 2 examples. Remember Joanna? Her LLC makes $100,000. She pays herself a $50,000 salary. The LLC has $25,000 in expenses and has a profit of $25,000. If the LLC elects S-Corp status, Joanna could save 15.3% of taxes on the profit, which would be around $3,800. Now, what if Joanna has a smaller candle company selling on Etsy, for example? Her business makes $50,000 per year. Her reasonable salary is around $35,000 and expenses are $15,000. She would end up paying payroll taxes on her entire amount earned. Filing for S-Corp status wouldn't make any sense. And in fact, would end up costing more in tax returns, a payroll company, and other administrative expenses. The tax savings from S-Corp status come from only having to pay self-employment taxes on the reasonable salary the owner pays themselves. If there are profits after all the expenses and a reasonable salary has been paid, then the S-Corp doesn't pay the additional self-employment taxes on the profits. Some accountants estimate that if you're self-employed and your business generates around $100,000 in revenue, then the S-Corp election makes sense. But the reality is that 87% of small businesses don't make that much per year. And what happens if you elect S-Corp status and decide it's not best for your business? Can you go back being a disregarded LLC? Yes, you can. But if you ever want to re-elect S-Corp status to save on taxes in the future, you're gonna have to wait 5 years from the date that you change back. And of course, none of this matters, and you won't even get to decide whether to elect S-Corp status if you missed a step in setting up your LLC correctly, which I go over in this video here.